What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So, I made a video last year, maybe 6-7 months ago, something like that, about why I didn't like Strats. So, I figured I would make kind of a follow-up video to that about why I do like Les Pauls and why I have so many Les Pauls, right? So, I think in that video I had said I wasn't going to sell my Strat. I was going to keep it just to have one around. Well, spoiler alert, I sold my Strat. And the reason I sold it was, one, I mean, if you watch that video, I don't like Strats. I'm not really a Strat guy at all. So, it was more like a studio tool. But I found myself just not even using it then. I was really liking the clean tones I was getting out of my Les Pauls, out of the neck humbuckers I use. I was just liking that. So, I wasn't even using it for that. And it was an American Strat. And, you know, it was worth a little bit of money. And so, if it would have been maybe like a Squire or a Mexican Strat or something, I might have just kept it. But, you know, considering that it was a USA Strat and it was worth a little bit of money, I figured, let's just go ahead and move it along, you know. To kind of follow in that vein, though, I also sold my P-Bass. I had a Mexican Player Series P-Bass, and I sold it too for very similar reasons, because there's just things about it that I don't gel with. So kind of, if you want to know about that, you can go check that video out, why I don't like Strats. But today we're going to talk about why I do like Les Pauls. So, keep in mind that all of this stuff is just subjective. I'm not saying Strats are bad or Gibsons are better or anything like that. This is all subjective stuff. It's all preferences, right? Some of those preferences I have no scientific explanation for. I have no, this is why. It just kind of, it is what it is, right? Like, I just like this thing and I don't like this thing. That's all there is to it. So, first thing about Les Pauls that really makes them different from Fenders is the scale length. You know, these have a 24 3/4 inch scale length. So, scale length, for those of you that might not know, is going to be the distance between the nut and the bridge. So this, from here to here, is 24 3/4 of an inch. On a Strat, it's 25.5 inches. That's only 3/4 of an inch longer, but I don't have the biggest hands in the world, and I do have, I don't know if you can see this, maybe you can. You see that scar on my hand right there? I have a hand injury that causes my hand to not want to open up all the way, right? My hand kind of just naturally kind of, you know, stays like this. So, some of those big stretches on the longer scale length stuff is a little harder for me to do. You know, so that's one thing. The other thing that kind of goes with that is the fretboard radius. So the fretboard radius is going to be how round the fretboard is, right? Fenders, the one I had a 9.5 inch radius. This has a 12 inch radius. So this is a lot flatter. Right, I don't want it to be like super flat. I don't want a neck that's too flat. I really like this 12 inch radius. It's kind of like the perfect middle ground for me. It's round enough, but it's flat enough too. It's like right in the middle. You know, a lot of your like Ibanez's and ESPs and stuff, they got super flat necks, and I don't really dig, or super flat fretboards, I should say. And I don't dig that. You know, that makes chords kind of hard sometimes. But the super round necks, just I don't fretboards. I keep saying necks. Super round fretboards, I don't like those either. So that's a big thing, because the neck is where your hand is touching all the time, right? So if you don't like the way a neck feels, or you don't like the scale length or something like that, you're gonna have a really hard time coming around to a guitar. So I've just always preferred the scale length. It makes the stretches a little easier, fretboard's a little flatter, you know. The other thing I like about Les Pauls is they have 22 frets. Now, I know a lot of Fenders do too, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them have 21 frets. And not all the time, because I'm not like a crazy shredder or anything really, but there have been a few times where I have found myself wanting this, and on a Fender guitar I didn't have it. Right, so there's that. Another reason that I really like Les Pauls, and this is something I think a lot of people don't really consider, okay, when they talk about guitar preferences. And this is something that kind of, I don't know if this was like a right out the gate thing, maybe just like my body structure or the way my arms are positioned or something, or maybe it was like a developed habit over time from playing Les Pauls, just because like I thought they looked cool when I was a kid, and that's what I wanted, just because how they looked. And then so maybe some of my preferences kind of warped around that. But one of the big things for me is, you see how the neck on Les Pauls, all Gibsons more or less, but really on Les Pauls, the neck is angled. So on a Fender guitar, the neck comes out of the neck pocket and it's almost totally straight at like a 90-degree angle, you know, with, well, not a 90-degree angle, 180-degree angle, right? Like it's just totally flat almost, right? Actually, hold on, I do have one Fender guitar left. This is my Jazzmaster with the baritone neck on it, but like, see, it is just flat. It is super flat. The whole guitar is just flat. So what that means is that your bridge has to be really flat too. So that's why most Fender guitars, like those 6 saddle or like the Tele style 3 saddle, like adjustable bridges, are super flat to the guitar. So the whole guitar is flat. So on Les Pauls, because you have that angled neck, and you can see, look at that, like, since you have such a neck angle, you have to have a bridge that will come up off the body of the guitar to accommodate that. Because if you put a flat bridge on here, you're going to run into the pickup, and then, you know, it's not going to work. So you have to have this kind of a bridge that pushes everything kind of out. And so maybe over the years, I've just gotten comfortable with kind of like not playing like flat, but kind of playing in this exaggerated kind of way where like the neck is back and this arm is forward. And again, that might totally be in my head. That might be something that's kind of warped around me playing Les Pauls. Maybe it wasn't something I like was aware of initially. But over the years, I found that like I really prefer that. I don't like super flat guitars. And that goes into with like Les Pauls having the arch top. So the top is arched, it's not flat. The bridge is sticking up off the body. The neck is angled back, right? And I'm just really used to that. So, you know, that's another reason. I don't like trims. Don't like tremolo systems at all. I hardly ever use them when I'm using a guitar that has one on it. So just having a, you know, fixed Tune-o-matic bridge, like this is my favorite style of bridge too. I like Tune-o-matic bridges because if I need to adjust it live, I can just turn the thumb wheels and lower it or raise it real quick. I don't have to like get an Allen wrench and like, you know, adjust every individual saddle. Like that's always gotten on my nerves. If I ever had to make an adjustment, like, you know, out in the real world somewhere, this takes 10 seconds. That's a whole process, right? So, I've also always just preferred the sound of humbuckers. Said single coils have never really been my thing. If they were, it was always like a neck single coil with a bridge humbucker. Right, so like standard Strats and Teles just never really got the sound for me I wanted because I don't dig single coils in the bridge position anyway, right? So that was always something I was fighting with Strats was like, do I buy a Strat that's a humbucker? And then you run into a whole other bunch of problems that I'm not gonna like really get into, but like Fender's electronics, I don't think accommodate humbucking pickups well because they use 250K pots, whereas Gibsons have 500K pots in them, which are much more tailored for humbucking pickups. So I never liked the way Strats sound. Right, and again, like, yeah, you could mod all this stuff, but like, you know, that's a lot of work, right? So Les Pauls always just kind of tick all the boxes for me right out the gate. And another thing that I've talked about a lot, and this is very specific to Les Pauls, not just like Gibsons in general, is the pickup selector placement. I had an SG for a little while, and I loved it because it was light, and it had a lot of the same things I liked, you know, the angled neck, the pneumatic bridge, this whole thing, right? But I would be playing, and like subconsciously, I'd go to switch to my neck pickup, and I would do like this, and nothing would happen because the pickup selector's down here, and like I would just feel stupid. And that's when I knew, like, man, I've been playing Les Pauls a long time, and I'm just like really locked in with my muscle memory to like Les Pauls specifically, right? So, you know, I know a lot of people have issues with Les Pauls. I know a lot of people don't like Les Pauls for a lot of the reasons I do like them. Like, they're thick and they're heavy, and that's another thing I like. I like how thick they are. I like how heavy they are. Strats have always just felt really light, and again, being flat and thin and stuff, I've always felt real cramped on Strats. And the control layout, you know, here to me makes a lot more sense. I like that I have 2 volumes. I use the 2 volumes, especially the neck volume. I use it a lot. I use it as a kill switch a lot. I'll turn it down, and then I can kind of do that thing, or I'll hit like a big chord at the end of a song, and then I can just, and my guitar's off, right? Like, I do that a lot. I like having that independent volume control that you don't get on a traditional Strat. I also like the volume controls being out of my way. When I'm strumming, I don't accidentally hit them or anything like that. You know, Strats, that volume knob is like right by the bridge pickup, and it was just always kind of in my way, I felt like. So, that's another thing that I really like, is how out of the way these are. The one thing that's very easily, you know, you can accommodate to easily, though, is like the side mounted jack. If you have a guitar cable, you know, that's not angled, it's a straight in, that can be a little weird. It kind of digs in your leg sometimes, especially if you're playing live and you like do this number and it digs in, but you just buy right angle cables, not a problem anymore. All right. So that's really it, I guess, as far as why I like Les Pauls over Strats. Another thing is, and again, who knows how arbitrary this is, but I prefer the set necks. I do. Again, I don't have a scientific reason why. I don't have any real explanation. I think the neck joint feels better. It's smoother. I don't like having screws in the back of my guitar. Like, again, I don't have a reason, I don't have an explanation for it. I just don't like it. And this is probably going to be the most controversial thing I say, because I know that like everyone else on the planet loves this and hates the thing I like, and I'm completely the opposite. Everyone loves satin finish necks and like raw wood finish necks on guitar. Now, raw wood finish necks are okay. They don't bug me quite as much. But I'm not a super big fan of the satin necks. I like the high gloss nitro like sticky necks. Like, I do. And I tell people that, and they just look at me like I'm crazy. But a buddy of mine was watching me play one day, and he kind of pointed it out. He was like, I think I know why you like the high gloss, like nitro necks, because they're sticky. Like, everyone complains about them being sticky. Again, I'm not a shredder. I don't like I'm not, you know, I'm not this guy. I'm not. If I was, maybe I would like the satin necks and the flatter fretboards and stuff like that. Maybe I would. But I'm kind of like an in the box player. I'll find a spot and I'll kind of stay here and stay here, and I'll play a lot of chords, like. And since I'm the only guitar player in my band, I play a lot of big chords, and I kind of like to be anchored, like in a spot on the neck where I'm going to hang out for a second. And I don't want my hand to just like slide around on a super slick neck. And so I feel like I have more control over where my hand goes and stays versus like a really slick neck where I can just kind of move around, without even thinking about it, right? Again, maybe that's a backwards way of thinking. I don't know, but that's how I think about it. That's how it works for me. That's what I like. So yeah, that is why I like Les Pauls better than Strats. Plus, I just think they look cooler. And as arbitrary as that is, it is an important thing. You want to look cool when you're on stage. You want to feel confident and look cool. And I've just always loved the way Les Pauls look. I think they look super classy. I think they look cooler than any other guitar. So that's why I like Gibson Les Pauls. Hope you guys liked the video. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I'm really close to 500 subscribers, and it would be really cool if I could get there soon. So if you're watching this video, subscribe to the channel. If you really want me to go in depth about how I don't like Strats, I've already done that. So check out the video about why I don't like Strats. And yeah, thank you guys, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about Les Pauls. We talk about Les Pauls a lot on this channel, so tell me how you feel about Les Pauls. If you do like them, why? If you don't like them, let me know. So hope you'll have a good one, and I will be back soon.